I remember walking down a stone driveway right behind my parents' house where we practiced, and I was with my old bassist. His name's Jordan, and the contract was, being negotiated with Solid State Records. This was like 2005, and I remember saying, "Dude, I can't believe this is actually going to happen. This is the label that we've been wanting to sign to, have dreamt about signing to, and have admired for a couple of years."
So when the band formed, what were your objectives initially? I know it was in 2003. You guys were really young,
Mm-hmm.
playing in your dad's farm.
When we started the band, it was 2003, and we didn't really have any objectives. Picture yourself as a high school student. Your focus is your education, or maybe it's your sports team or whatever. But it's probably not the band at that point. And so we just started playing together in high school. I was a junior in high school, and our objective was to have fun. Really, if we had an objective, it was to have fun. We played local shows, and we booked our own shows, and we play with local bands, and sometimes even like international bands we'd bring in, and we'd play at a local like fire hall or church. And we found out at one point in time, we're like, well, hey, we can actually make this a career, but we're gonna have to quit our college educations and our part-time jobs that we would fill the time in between tours with, and we're gonna have to actually commit to this and see if it works. So our objective sort of found itself after we had been playing for a couple of years. I think initially it was, let's have fun.
At what point did you realize that that this could be a career?
At what point did I realize it could be a career? I think that pivotal moment was when we released. Actually, it was on the tail end of Thrill Seeker. So we released Thrill Seeker in 2005, and we started touring on it. And I remember my last semester of college was December 2005, and the tour went well, and we came back. 2006 started up, and we're like, wow, we can actually probably stay on tour and hopefully make a little money and pay the bills.
So you had quit college and then started working on messengers.
That's right. That's right. So we quit school. Like all of us sat down and we decided we're going to do this thing for real. We quit college. I think we even quit our jobs at that time, and we said let's put on our running shoes and see how this works out. That would have been 2006, and then we started writing messengers. 2000, I think it was 2006. We wrote messengers, and then we released it in 2007.
What was the first tour?
The first tour we did was the first full U.S. tour we did was Bury Your Dead and Terror and Scars of Tomorrow.
Oh, wow.
And it was full U.S. We probably played, I think we were out for about a month, and I think it kind of scared us all a little bit to be away from home for that long and see how touring really is. It's not really what I imagined it to be, sleeping on people's floors and the starving musician. But we came home and we all loved the experience, even though it was different than what we thought it would be. 2006 started up, and we started touring full time in the U.S. and then eventually internationally as well.
Are there certain highlights from some of the early tours, like in 2006, things that just stick out?
Yeah, for sure. I broke my ankle on tour in California, skateboarding, and I had to actually learn to play drums with a cast.
Oh.
That was not, I guess that wasn't a highlight. That's more of a recap of a nightmare. But
what about the one show where you guys played with Ringworm at the skate park where Jake got sick, and then your bassist threw up?
Yeah, we actually played a couple shows where Jake and Dustin were so sick. Actually, it was Jake and Jordan, the old bassist, were so sick that they literally played while they were sitting down on a chair. They couldn't actually stand and play or perform. I think high fevers were in the mix, and it was like flu-like symptoms, but it was really severe. And on tour, it's really hard to stay or get healthy if you're sick.
I want to change the topic a little bit to the first album, working with Adam D.
Yep.
Are there lessons learned from that experience that you have applied to your career?
Absolutely. I'm a drummer. I played drums in the band Oxman's Red, and Adam D's also a drummer. He played in Killswitch a while ago, and he had a certain way of communicating how to play well on a record and how to get the best take out of you. And sometimes it was pretty harsh. I remember one time I did a drum take and I came out and I was super pumped. Like, that was awesome. That was perfect. I'm sure he's gonna love it. And we listened back and he's like, he had his little notepad and his pen and he's jotting stuff down, and he gets to the end of the song, stops it. That was about 40%. And I'm like, 40%, dude. I mean, am I trying to get to 50%? Because I'm not getting to 100 if I'm only at 40.
Oh man.
So he taught me to be perfect. I'm not perfect, but he taught me to try to be, which is a good thing to learn as a musician.
How does working with Adam D compare to working with Jason Sukoff?
They're very, very, very different producers.
I heard he's
and engineers.
obsessed with hot sauce, that he can just chug hot sauce.
Sukoff? Yeah, that has some validity. Sukoff's awesome. They're both awesome. They're both very different, though. Sukoff is more about the experience of the recording, and I had a very relaxed time recording with Sukoff, and we got a great final product for both of them. But with Adam D, it was more like, yes, we are definitely recording drums from Monday to Friday, and this is exactly how Adam D records. And then with Sukoff, it was, hey man, let's hang out for a bit. How are you? What's going on? Let's set these drums up, and then we'll go out for some lunch. And it's just a different atmosphere. And so for me as a drummer, that's pretty relaxing to be around someone who isn't crunching me,
Mm-hmm.
And I think certain people work better when they're around people that are, pushing them, punching them. But with Sukoff, his thing is, well, let's just enjoy this and we'll get the final product good. Don't worry. Let's just take some time, to hang out.
Speaking of Sukoff and Audio Hammer Studios, I did an interview a few years ago with A.L. Levy of Doth,
yes.
Who did some mixing for you guys.
Mm-hmm. I love A.L.
And one of the things that he talks about was music and technology, and he said something, here's a quote. He says, "It depends on how you use it. It's like how water can drown you or give you life." Are there ways to abuse technology?
Yeah, that's really well put. Technology is obviously what we do use when we record a record. To a certain extent, technology is absolutely a necessity to record a record, and I think it definitely can be abused. It's up to the producer to know how much he wants to manipulate the live playing, and it's up to the musician to know how much he sucks or how he wants it to sound. Because see, if I go in and I'm not a very good drummer and I don't have my parts down, and I record something that's 40% according to Adam D, he can actually take that 40% and make it sound like 100. But he's using technology to the nth degree, and you take a human and you make it into a robot. And for certain things that work, or I think that works out okay. I would prefer to walk in and say, hey, I'm going to be able to record this at like 80%, and if we need to tighten some stuff up to get it to 90, cool. But I'd prefer to be more present on a record, and have less technological presence. I think that translates better.
On a different subject, when we talked earlier, you said that you got a place in the country in Pennsylvania. How do you balance a touring lifestyle and then life at home at this point in your career?
It's a good question. I really struggle with being on tour sometimes. I'm gone 8 months out of the year, this year, I believe. Last year was about 6. And so it's a lot. You're gone from home and you're staying in hotels or in a bus or flying on planes or traveling on trains. You're always moving somewhere. And so something I've learned is that I need time for myself, away from the crowd and away from the noise. And that to me is some semblance of home, because home for me is in the country. It's quiet, it's peaceful, it's relaxed. And if I can have that feeling when I'm on tour, then I don't miss home as much. And so there's definitely a balance to be had on tour with balancing how thrown into the mix of the schedule you are and the routine, and just like kind of pulling back and saying, hey, I need to have some time here, just relax. So when I am on stage or I'm talking to the fans, I'm 100% there, and I'm not drained. And then when I go home, I'm 100% home. I'm pumped. Like I just relax and sit back and do everything that's the antonym of what I do on tour. Sans playing drums, I still practice. So
At this point, what's in store for the future? Would you guys ever release a Christmas covers album?
yes, we would do that,
Is that in the works?
and that might be in the future. I can't really say much about it, but August Burns Red would like to write and release a Christmas covers record for sure. We love the Christmas spirit.
And I know Leveler came out last year, so is it too soon to already start thinking about a next album?
Absolutely not too soon. We're already we're already writing.